welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin and today we're going to be going over everything that I read in the month of March. Spoiler alert, it was not great. So, as I said, I believe in like my March reset, my goal for the month of March was to read 7 books. I managed to complete 6, but I felt myself definitely like coming into a slump in the throughout the entirety of March. I was really excited about everything that I was going to be reading in March. Didn't make it to most of my TBR, and I wasn't reading like the right books for the right moods. One of these books was like 12 out of 10, amazing, love it, 6-star. Not quite a 6-star read, but it's really solid 5-star. Others just like not for me. So we're gonna go in chronological order. We'll just get into it. It wasn't a horrible reading month. It just wasn't like my favorite reading month, if that makes sense. I read 6 books. The first 2 that I read were for a video. So the first one that I completed was, what is the first one called? Oh my God, what is it called? Done and Dusted. Oh wow. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This one was like a 4-star read, really solid 4-star. This was my first ever cowboy romance book. I have a video coming on that. It should be my next video. I forgot that I needed to film a March wrap up when I said that my next video was going to be this vlog. This vlog is coming. I have all of the footage. It's completely filmed. I did everything that I needed to do. I just need to edit it and upload it for you guys. So I promise it is coming, but that will hopefully be the actual next video that you see from me. Done and Dusted, I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it was a 4-star read. We are following Clementine Ryder. She comes home from Montana to Wyoming because she is like a barrel racer and she had a really horrible accident that like traumatized her. She's fine, but like mentally she is not fine. And so she's like, where better to like reset and get my feet back under me than going home to her dad, 2 brothers, and her best friend. She goes home, brings her horse, the whole 9, and then her first night back in town, she unexpectedly runs into Luke Brooks, who is the owner of like the local dive bar, the Devil's Boot. I'm currently reading the 2nd book and like eating it up, but it's like a older brother's best friend trope. Weren't childhood lovers, but they've always had like attention surrounding them. He's always taken really good care of her. He's very protective of her. And he's helping her through her anxiety. There's anxiety portrayal in this, which I really loved. She has like a little bit of PTSD. I would say if you enjoy cowboy romances, I think you will enjoy this one. I also read Flawless, which we'll get to in a second. I personally think Flawless is the better of the 2. It's a little bit more fleshed out. We'll get there when we get there, but this one was still really solid. It's a shorter read, so it's like a little bit quick, not so many details. It has like that small town feeling, which I love. I am craving small town romances right now. So this was really good if you are also craving that. I loved our characters. I loved the dad. His name is Amos. He's like a sweetheart. I love how protective her brothers were over her. Everything about this book was really good. It was just like lacking a few details for me to be fully attached to everyone, if that makes sense. I still really enjoyed it. I'm going to finish this series because I am attached to these characters and I want to see like everything that happens. I think that Lila Sage has a lot of potential as a writer and I'm really excited to see her grow and like what else she can come out with, because this was really good. 4 stars for that one. Then I finished an audiobook that was like one of the biggest culprits in slumping me, and that is Not the Plan by Gia Cadenet. I don't remember if I rated this a 3 or a 4 stars. The ending of this book is really what saved it for me. It is a political romance that is taking place in, I believe, San Francisco, or maybe San Francisco and the Bay Area are the same thing in California. Basically, we're following Isadora and Kareem. And they are both working for California state senators, not senators, but whatever is like a step before senators. I think both of these people are, and they're like their aides. And so in order to like get bills passed and everything in California or like in their county or whatever, these 2 have to work together in order for their bosses to work together. So they'll do like the negotiating on behalf of their bosses and all of the correspondence and everything. I think the California state legislature. Their two bosses are like competing for something, but it's the same position, but they're in like the same party, which I know is something that like I am apprehensive about in political like romances, is like, can you guys get over your differences if you're like on opposing teams? Because it's not the end of the world for everyone, but for some people it is like, you know, a pretty substantial thing, and it's hard to get along with someone who like doesn't believe in the same things as you do. So I was nervous about that. But in this one, like, it's not that they're disagreeing on the same thing, they're just like fighting the same position. So if that was something that you were worried about with going into this one, I would say don't worry about it too much. The guy that the male love interest, Kareem, is not interested in. He's interested in Isadora. The guy that he works for is kind of gross. He is doing some really sneaky things behind the scenes, which creates a lot of tension between the two of them. I did appreciate all of the like talk about mental health for both of them. It was the first time I had ever seen like my diagnosis represented in a romance, I'm pretty sure, which I really enjoyed. Isadora has complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is something that you get from childhood, and Kareem helps her out a lot with that. And then Kareem was in a really unhealthy, toxic relationship. I believe he was married before he had met Isadora. She is helping him with that. They are really good communicators. So the third act conflict, like, I appreciated how well it was done, but there was a lot of like politics in this, and that is one of my niche things that I do tend to really love. But in this one I just didn't love it as much because it wasn't anything that I really cared about. Like, they were talking about it a lot, but it was like roads, infrastructure. It was just like stuff that I was like, okay, cool, like this is your job. And I did definitely appreciate how career driven Isadora was and how she was so determined not to let anyone like get her off that track, even though her relationship with her mom is really, really strained, and like her career has been a sensitive subject for her and her mom, but she like tries to put that on the back burner and like focus anyway, which I really liked. There were a lot of elements to like about this book. It just wasn't perfect and it fell a little bit flat for me, and I don't know if it was because this wasn't what I wanted to be reading or what it was, but either way I give it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, I believe. The next one that I finished was also in my cowboy romance video that is coming soon, and that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I don't know what went on in the making of this special edition, but like, I am aware that it is formatted differently. I ran out of storage, isn't that kind? Basically the same thing as Done and Dusted. Not really. We're following Summer and Rhett. Rhett is a bull rider and Summer is the daughter of his agent. She is a lawyer, and so she is sent to spend the summer with Rhett to make sure that he stays out of trouble because he just lost a bunch of sponsors because he said he didn't like milk, which is like so stupid. Summer and Rhett are in agreement on that, and through what is first a very tense meeting and like tense circumstances, because she's essentially his babysitter and he feels like she's kind of smug about it, and she's sitting there laughing at how ridiculous it is that she needs to do this because she doesn't think it was that big of a deal. They like overcome that, become really close. She's trying to maintain professionalism, so she's fighting her feelings for him because this is her first like real responsibility for her dad. She doesn't want to let him down, etc., etc. I loved this one. There were more details. There was just more like in here for you to be attached to. So like I said earlier, and I'll discuss it in the video, I definitely preferred this one. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars, and I am going to be continuing with the entirety of the series. This one was like so much fun to read. The spicy scenes were in here. There weren't too many of them, but it felt like they were kind of developmental, which I really appreciate. The characters were really well connected. They were connected not only to each other, but also to the side characters, which I really appreciated. I think that Elsie Silver is a really, really talented author, and I want to read more from her. Wild Love just came out, and it's taking everything in me to like be responsible and read the books that I have by Elsie Silver before I go get a new one. But like, I will be reading that series. Then we have another one that I don't really know like how to feel about, and I think maybe I was just like not in an audiobook mood, because this is one that I definitely want to revisit in the future because I just feel like it could be a favorite, and that is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I gave this one again like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This one is taking place in a neighborhood in Brooklyn that is being gentrified, and it's horrible. The people who are like gentrifying it, taking it over, are so blatantly rude and racist and awful. So look up content warnings before going into this one. This one definitely feels like a slow moving thriller where like the thrilling elements creep up on you, and I love like a subtle thriller. It does so much for me. Good morning, live and in stereo from me, who is currently editing this video. I know I look good, you don't need to tell me. I was listening to everything that I had to say about this book, and you know how like when you first rate a book, it's not always like the most accurate rating? I feel like that's what happened here, because the more that I sit with this, the more this book is like a 4-star. It was terrifying. I just think, as I said, I wasn't necessarily in the mood for an audiobook. I think I also anticipated like more plot twists with this, but nothing that was revealed was all that shocking to me, because I was like, yeah, I am not surprised at all that this person did that, or this group of people, or whatever, fill in the blank. Not surprised. This seems like exactly where we were going. I think I went in with the expectation that it was going to be like an in-your-face like jump scare kind of book, so my expectations were wrong, because the scary part of this book is like the reality that this stuff does happen, has happened, maybe not in this specific story because this is a work of fiction, but I would be shocked if something very similar to this has not happened. I think I went in with the wrong expectations. I wasn't in the mood to listen to an audiobook, and I forced myself to do it anyway. So I still do want to reread this, maybe like a tandem read with the audiobook and the physical book, or maybe just the physical book. Now, like sitting with it, it is a 4-star. I did enjoy it. I just think I read it either in the wrong format at the wrong time, a little combination of both. I just wanted to say that because I was editing this and I was like, I don't agree with like anything that I'm saying. So, but I think for me, like reading and listening to the audiobook, it allowed me to like kind of disconnect and like be thinking about other things, because I know it wasn't a bad book. It was so well done. I love Alyssa Cole's writing style, and I loved like really taking a deep dive into each of these characters and getting to know them, kind of questioning what was happening. Like talking about it right now, it feels like it should be a 5-star, but while I was reading it, I was just like, I don't know. I think my brain was in a fog, so this is definitely one that I'm going to be retrying, and I think I might get like the audiobook, or I might read it physically. I might get the audiobook and read it physically, like do a tandem read as I'm listening to the audiobook, or just read it physically, because like I said, this feels like it should have been a 5-star and I just wasn't paying like close enough attention to it. Then I did listen to an audiobook that was very short. Is it possible to skim an audiobook, like tune in and out of it? And that is Veronica Ruiz Breaks the Bank by El Cosmano. This is the like book 3.5 in the Finley Donovan series. So it's a novella between the 3rd and 4th book. I did enjoy this one, but again, I think I was just tuning in and out. Like, I don't think I should really be listening to audiobooks right now, or at least not this past month I shouldn't have been, because like I feel like I missed so much. But this one is kind of Veronica's backstory before she becomes a nanny for Finley. So I'm not going to give too much away, but it was very entertaining. It does give you quite a bit of insight, and it sets up very well for book 4, I would say. So I do think that this one is worth reading. I think it's important. It's not very like long at all. It only took me an hour or so to listen to, so definitely worth the read. But again, I felt like I was like missing key pieces of information by the time it ended, because I just don't think I was paying attention, to be honest. The more I talk about all of this, the clearer that becomes. And then my biggest accomplishment in all of March, I finished this literally on Easter, the last day of the month. I finished Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. This was my 5-star read. This was like my only physical read of the month. Flawless, I read physically, but I read it on my Kindle. This one though, she's heavily annotated, if you can tell. It literally looks like a textbook. in here. I was studying this. This was a character study. This wasn't reading for pleasure. I was doing a character study. Loved this. There were some nights where I would like read and I'd get through a section and I would end the night sobbing, bawling my eyes out, felt sick to my stomach, and I just had to go to bed because I literally physically could not do anything else. It was quite insane. It was very intense. These books are so connected to me in a way that I can't explain, won't explain, cannot and will not explain. They just do a lot. Reading them is a very cathartic reading experience, but it's also, like I said, a very intense reading experience, which is why I think they take me as long as they do, because it's not just something that's fun and lighthearted that I can sit and like fly through. It's something that feels larger than life, means more to me than most books do, even my favorite books. When I say this is a 6-7 star series, particularly like Magnolia, but I'm so excited for The Great Undoing with Daisy Hates, like genuinely. It's a lot. It's really overwhelming and I'm really intimidated to start Daisy Hates The Great Undoing, but I think I'm going to love it and I'm terrified to read Into the Dark. I'm doing like a video diary of me reading this series, so definitely stay tuned for that. It won't be coming for a while because I need to finish the series in order to like finish that video, but it is coming. It took me such a long time to read because I mentally had to pace myself. I physically had to pace myself because otherwise I was gonna like put myself into a very major depressive episode and I just couldn't afford to do that. Just know that if you are like thinking about reading these series and you have like a hint of you might like them, definitely look up content warnings. You still might not like them. For the people who do enjoy these books, I feel like you don't have people who just casually enjoy them. These, I can't like accurately express to you what it means. And I said it was only a 5-star, but I literally said that about Magnolia Park's book 1 when I finished it. It was like a 4.5 and it's a 6-star. So this is also a 6-7 star read. These characters, they're so frustrating. They are so annoying at times, so pretentious and privileged. Athena's going insane because she doesn't want me to talk about it anymore. So those were the 6 books that I read in the month of March. Fingers crossed, April will be better. As of right now, it is not shaping up to be that way, but I have plenty of time to change it around. It's the 10th. We're a third of the way through the month and I've only read 1 book, but I'm determined. I'm going to hit my 7 books in the month of April. So let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books, what you did read in the month of April, what your thoughts were. I would love to hear. I love chatting to you guys, even if all you say is hi, or just comment like the white heart emoji. But that is all from me today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well reading mentally and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye guys.